Yo, peace, peace. This is Indra coming back at you with another video. Hey, for those watching this live stream that's in the flesh, press 9 in the chat box if you can hear me and see me well. Appreciate everybody for tuning in for the live stream. If you're watching this on the playback, I appreciate you as well. While I do get some confirmation that I can be seen and heard, just know if you've been living under a rock for the last, I want to say 3 or 4 months, I have been sending out an email every morning at 9 o'clock. Giving you some spiritual wisdom, some tidbits, some entertainment to help you on your spiritual path. So if you're looking for some free spiritual guidance, make sure to go to indraemail.com, put your email address in there, and every AM at 9 o'clock Eastern, you'll see me pop up in your inbox. All right. Also, I've been heavy on social media, so make sure to connect with me there. At the bottom, you'll see all my social media links. Also, in every video description, you can find the links as well, so make sure to connect with me. I've been pretty active every day on Instagram, every day on Twitter. TikTok, you know what I'm saying? But as far as Instagram and Twitter, I'm on there every day posting some content for free, so make sure to connect with that. And let me see if I can be heard and seen. Okay, we good, yo, we good. All right, for everybody that's watching this joint live, yo, put your Chinese astrological sign in the chat box. Put your Chinese astrological sign in the chat box. And to be honest, believe it or not, Chinese astrology was my first divination system that I resonated with strongly. Chinese astrology was my first divination system that I resonated with very strongly, yo. I'm gonna show y'all a book. There's actually a couple books I recommend for Chinese astrology. My bad, I'm sitting here messing with this little system. First book, Suzanne White, Chinese Astrology, Plain and Simple. You can find a link in the description if you can't find it. And also Chinese astrology, it's a blue book. It's called the Eastern Zodiac. I also have that linked in the description as well. So 2 Chinese astrology books. I got mad early on the path when I first started studying Chinese astrology. So if that interests you, make sure to cop those books. Also, for my moderators, if I have any moderators in the building, make sure to leave your contact information. I see Shanika, what up? Peace to the God. Make sure to leave your contact information in the chat if you want to. So when I first came across Chinese astrology, it was around the time that I was wanting to develop more knowledge of self. Astrology and any divination, numerology, Chinese astrology, palmistry, iridology, dermatoglyphics, all these different divination systems, in my opinion, are best suited for knowledge of self, for you to gain more self-awareness. You feel me? The best thing, in my opinion, on the path is gaining greater self-awareness, knowing who you are to a T, knowing your strengths, knowing your weaknesses, knowing what makes you tick, knowing your mood, knowing your behavior. Are you an introvert? Are you extroverted? Are you a people person? Are you antisocial? Are you a self-starter? Do you need guidance? It'll go on and on and on. If you lack self-awareness, you're always behind the 8 ball. People can always manipulate you and mislead you if you're not self-aware. Just think, when you were a child, you had people that would try to get you to do things. Like, say you're a person where no ifs, ands, or buts, you're not a smoker. You don't smoke for anything. And you get around people like a group of friends and everybody's getting their chief on, and they try to influence you like, hey, man, go ahead and hit this. Why don't you need to hit this. If you don't know who you are, you can always succumb to peer pressure. I'm not saying smoking is right or wrong. Don't miss the point. My point is, if you don't know who you are, people can influence you to do anything. Just like right now, you have certain vices and certain things that if you are exposed to it, more than likely you will partake in it. 2 people can walk into a strip club. 1 person can lose their noodle. In fact, I knew of someone who knew someone that every time after he got paid, He immediately went to the bank, got all his money in ones, and at that evening went to the strip club and blew his whole wad. But another person, if they're not like that kind of person, they're gonna go into a strip club and be like, man, this is stupid. You feel me? So when you don't know who you are, you're easily influenced. Please don't let that go over your head. Knowledge of self is paramount on the path to spiritual mastery, on any kind of spiritual path, to any path, period. Like right now, you may be working a job that isn't suited for you because you don't know who you are. And you listen to your parents and they told you, if you want to have a good job, you need to go into this career path. So you're following careers that society and your parents are telling you to do, and it doesn't resonate with you. I literally know someone who was a semester away from being a doctor, and he woke up. He was already on his path, but it came to a boiling point where he was like, I can't finish this because me being a doctor would not fulfill my soul. You don't think his family looked at him crazy? You don't think his parents were questioning his decision? You don't think his classmates were looking at him like, I can't believe you're about to give up being a doctor, a for sure six-figure job that has high stature in our society. You're just giving that up. It was easy for him to give it up because he knew that it was more beneficial as far as his path to be of service to his community. It was way more important for him to be of service to his community. Now he has a trade that he feels like can influence the community he cares about the most, as opposed to being a doctor. So you have to know who you are, yo. That's the main thing to take away from this. So when you hear people talking about it's the Chinese year of the tiger, or it's the year of Aquarius, or it's Capricorn season, all these things, most people are reactive, meaning that they're only going to see it for as it says. This is a good example. Every time there's Mercury retrograde, what do people do when there's Mercury retrograde? Answer that in the chat. What do people do when it's a so-called Mercury retrograde? What do they do? Mercury's in retrograde. What do people do? Hey, peace, Miss Mac. Peace, Sharita. Peace, Lisa. Peace, Saran. What up? What up, Saran? Free. What up, y'all? So what do people do when there's a so-called Mercury retrograde? They think bad. They panic. They overreact. You feel me? They don't travel. Hey, what up, Bougie B? Put everything that goes wrong on retrograde. They freak out. They don't sign contracts to do anything. Now, say those same people never knew that there was a Mercury retrograde. Say, for instance, they didn't check social media, which most people find out about Mercury retrograde. Say they didn't check any of that stuff. Then what would they do? You know, it's a rhetorical question. They would do whatever the hell they were going to do. But because someone planted the ideal that Mercury was in retrograde, and furthermore told you when Mercury is in retrograde, you shouldn't do X, Y, Z, mainly travel, signing contracts, and make long-term decisions. They'll tell you not to do that. You feel me? So when you listen to other people give their interpretations, you're abiding by their rules. But because you lack self-awareness, that's why you do it. Ask me what I do during retrograde. I'm going to do whatever the hell I want to do. Why? Because I view myself as my own master. And once you get to a point where you have a certain level of mastery, the planets aren't against you. Nothing that is against you. Everything is for you and against you at the same time. And you can manipulate the energies in a good way, not negatively, for your benefit. Meaning that if Mercury is in retrograde, you can still do you. You know what I'm talking about? So don't get to the point where somebody said a monkey effect where you're following people. Look up something called the 100 monkey syndrome. It will show you very clearly that we follow, and I'm saying we as humans, we just follow what people do. You see something work for somebody, now you want to do it. You go and hear somebody talking about their altar and how they give offerings and the deities they have on their altar. Now you want to say, take the same thing they're doing, put it in your crib, connect with those deities who may not even be a good fit for you. Some of you are peace, love, and light, but you have a lot more darkness than what you're letting on, sweetheart. You're really not peace, love, and light. You really screw that, screw them. You really got a lot of dark energy. And I'm not saying that in a negative sense. But if you don't know who you are and you're just following things, you can always be led astray. So I know who I am, so I don't get tripped off of the Mercury retrograde. Like I, told y'all when I put out the fourth retreat, it was during a Mercury retrograde. I literally put out a life-changing event that people are coming from around the world in order to attend, and I put it out during a Mercury retrograde because I don't care. It doesn't matter. Those planets aren't against me. You use the planets however you see fit. And truth be told, I think Mercury is in retrograde on my birth chart, which is a whole nother lesson in itself. You don't even know your natal chart. So what if you have Jupiter in retrograde or Venus in retrograde? Is that going to detrimentally affect you? Question mark. Here's a punchline. Nothing is purely negative and nothing is purely positive. So I had to set all this up because I'm going to tell you 3 things that I recommend that you focus on in order to tap into this Chinese year. And I don't want to get it misconstrued. I don't want you to get misconstrued by saying that's the way I need to do it or I don't need to do this. Know who you are and know that you can manipulate the energies however you see fit. All right. So let me start this with a little story, yo. And it's kind of catapulting off whatever we're just talking about. What up, Caesar? I see Caesar in the building. Peace to the God. There were 3 people: a farmer, a swimmer, and a storm chaser. A farmer, a swimmer, and a storm chaser. And they lived in a small town, a small village. This village was so small, it didn't even have stopping lights or stoplights or traffic lights. You know how we'll say, man, this town was so small, it didn't even have a traffic signals. This is one of those towns. Everybody knew everyone. But there was a meteorologist, an amateur meteorologist, and he came through the bar and he was like, yo, there's a storm coming through. Like tomorrow, there will be a storm. It's going to be detrimental. It's going to be crazy. What a farmer was, he got up and was like, he was so amped. He was like, man, it's been a minute since we've had rain and my crops need water. So he was ecstatic. He called home to his crib, told wifey, hey, we're about to get this rain we needed. Our crops are going to get the nourishment they need. The storm chaser, he called up his buddies. He was like, hey, man, there's a storm coming through. Get the gang. Start calling everybody over. Let's have a meeting. Let's get prepared for this storm. This is probably going to be one of the best storms of the year. So he was geeked. The swimmer who was preparing for a meet, he looked at the meteorologist and he just put his head down. And it just hit him like, man, like I really wanted to work on that backstroke. I really wanted to master my craft, but now I'm not able to do it because the only swimming that he had was outside and he couldn't do it. So there's 3 people. 2 of them were ecstatic that the storm's coming. The third person he was in the dumps. And a meteorologist looked at him and said, okay, you can't swim, but there's something else you can work on. So immediately the swimmer was like, you know what? I can work on this exercise that I was privy to that's going to strengthen my back muscles to help me with my backstroke. So thanks, meteorologist. I'm going to focus on that. So the punchline is, even though there's certain energy that's coming to the planet, call it Mercury retrograde, call it a universal 4-year, call it the age of Aquarius, call it Capricorn season, call it the Chinese New Year. There's a certain energy of general energy, but everyone receives it differently. And if the energy doesn't mesh well with you, you as the master have the ability to manipulate and practice alchemy and use the energy to your benefit. So hopefully that story makes sense. And I will give y'all the 3 things I recommend that you focus on for this Chinese New Year. First thing, when you look at a tiger in the wild, what does a tiger do? Does a tiger just wake up, go look at the first thing it sees and attack? No. A tiger would sit, it would crouch. It's called Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. I believe that's a movie. But a tiger will crouch and he would think and he would just look. So the first thing I recommend that you do is practice critical thinking before you act and react. Right now, because social media has trained you to react almost unconsciously. Someone posts something on your timeline, you immediately get a response. You're just shaking your head. Like literally, how many times have you went and scrolled and you were triggered or somebody had something that pissed you off and immediately you just, oh man, they don't know what they talk. You just start, you're only talking to yourself, but you're reacting. But when you meet a person out in the world and they do something, you don't do that. You don't overreact because you don't want to look like a fool. But in your own crib, you're devoid of judgment. So you can overreact in the crib, but in public, you can't. What I'm recommending is that even at the crib or wherever you are, start to critical think before you react and overreact. Once again, you have to know yourself and how you are. If you're the kind of person that pipes up real quick, like I used to be, then you're really going to have to practice and focus. One rule of thumb is count for 5 seconds before overreacting or reacting to something. So your children do something that piss you off, instead of you just flying off at the deep end like, hey man, stop saying it, you know what I mean, going crazy to a child who's so in that age, they're tender and they're very vulnerable. Instead of attacking your children going crazy, take 5 seconds, just breathe and count. 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000, 5, 1,000, then respond. You feel me? It's going to change your whole psychology. So the first thing I recommend as far as this Chinese Year of the Tiger, because tigers chill, they think before they act. So what I recommend for you is thinking before you act and reacting. Once again, depending on how you are, it may be difficult for you. I was born in the Chinese year of the fire dragon. So my natural default mechanism is overreaction or react. If I can sit here and tell you story after story of the times I've overreacted, like it's sad. Obviously, as I got more mature on my spiritual path, I don't do that anymore. It's only probably been literally, I want to say maybe less than 5 times that I would call myself overreacting in the past 5 or 6 years, literally. And 2 of them were with my son and 2 of them were with strangers and whatever. But since I've been conscious of this and looked at myself and like, hey, this is something I need to improve, I've obviously improved upon it. So once again, know who you are, know where you're starting at, and then work on that as you see fit. But the first thing I recommend for this Chinese New Year of the Tiger is practice critical thinking before you act or react. All right. Second thing, since I kind of already gave it away, a tiger chills before it does what? It chills before it pounces. But when it pounces, it goes hard body. So after you think critical about what you want to do or how you want to respond, the next thing I recommend is that you pounce on things. Like really ferociously pounce on things. The goals, the aspirations, the dreams, the things that you know you want to accomplish. Pounce on it, yo. The same way you pounce on that person that didn't deserve your overreaction, the same way you pounce on people when you feel like they did them wrong, the same way you pounce on Trump and political figures that you don't mesh well, pounce on your endeavors and goals in your spiritual practice with that same energy. I call it a healthy obsession. One of the ways that you know someone has reached a level of mastery is they have a healthy obsession. Point to anyone who's mastered anything and tell me that they don't have an obsession. And it's a healthy one because they're not hurting themselves or hurting other people. A person who is a ferocious writer that writes mad books, maybe like a Ryan Holiday, author of Obstacle is a Way, and what else? The books are eluding me or whatever, but he's a prolific writer. He is obsessed with writing. He does it every day Therefore, he's up to like 11, 12 books, and dude's only like 30 something years old. Or someone who is a yogi master, maybe like peace and blessing be upon him, like a Tao Porchon Lynch, who is considered, who was the oldest yoga teacher in the world, who transitioned at 101 years old. She was obsessed with yoga. Like, she had mad surgery. She had a hip surgery, and a doctor was like, you're not going to be able to do any of these complex moves, because she was self-aware. And her thing was, I can do anything. I can do anything. That's her motto. She was like, no, I'm going to be able to do my yoga. And in fact, she taught yoga up until she died. She was obsessed with it. Remember when you were a child playing video games, from all my video game heads? When we were a child, especially you 80s baby, you grew up when PlayStation first came out, Nintendo came out with Duck Hunt and Mario Brothers. Y'all, hey, y'all young heads know nothing about that, yo. You feel me? Y'all young heads know nothing about that. But we were obsessed with video games. Find something that you're passionate about, as long as it's healthy. And obviously, I recommend it be something spiritual, and become completely obsessed about it and pounce on it. When you wake up, it should be the first thing on your mind. When you go to sleep, you should go to bed thinking about it. So once you critically think, pounce on your endeavors, your goals, and your dreams. Like, give yourself permission to become obsessed with it in a healthy manner. So that's the second thing. Third and final thing dealing with the tiger is tigers are dumb courageous. Very courageous. You don't think of a tiger as being a coward. You don't. When you look at a tiger, you're like, hey, man, I'm not going to mess with that tigers. Usually tigers will provoke that fear. So what are you afraid of? Is it that young lady that you've been eyeballing at work, but you ain't built enough pair to go holler at her? Or is it that job that you have, but you want to get promotion, but you're so scared to go ask your boss for the promotion? Or is you have been led to do altar work, but you're afraid that the ancestor are just going to materialize in your room and start pinpointing everything that you're doing wrong? Or they're watching my every move, and what if they're watching me while I'm naked or making love? All these different things that you're afraid of, really start to attack it. They said the only way to decrease fear is by attacking your fears. Robert Greene, who is probably my favorite writer, he had an episode where he became afraid of tight spaces or whatever. And he ended up going to a psychologist or a psychiatrist, and they told him, hey, you're going to have to expose yourself to that. So I believe it was like an elevator or something like that. So he had to repeatedly go into an elevator, repeatedly go into facing his fears, till it got to the point where he was no longer fearful. So what is it in your life right now that you're so afraid of? Be courageous. Really attack that fear. Another thing they say is you should do something that scares you every day. Find something that invokes some sort of fear and face it every day. So be courageous is the third thing I recommend in order to tap into this energy of the tiger. So once again, practice critical thinking. The things that you want to do, the dreams, aspiration, and goals you have, the things you've been putting on your to-do list for months, the thing that you have made a New Year's resolution about every year, really attack it. Really pounce on it, just like a tiger would. And third, be courageous. What is it that you really want to do? What is it that fear is holding you back from doing? Write it down and literally just start crossing those joints out. Literally, just go through. Bing, 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 bing. Is it public speaking? Is it starting that business? Like, whatever it is, really practice courage and begin to face those fears. All right. So it's my will that this information helped you out. Shout out to BK. Is that the BK I know that's in the accelerator? Shout out to BK. I appreciate that. Super chat. Real quick, want to make sure, because let y'all know the store is still popping. If you want to support my works, you appreciate what I do around here, go to l9shop.com. Cop you something, some crystal sets, some oil or something like that, something you can use on your path. If you want to work with me, you want a community of like-minded souls, you feel alone, you feel like you don't have the courage to really face your spiritual practices, you feel like you need some guidance. I can't put out anything else that I would offer as far as my offering to help you on your path than the Spiritual Mastery Accelerator. Community of like-minded folks. We're like a family for real, a lot of inviting, loving souls. So if you feel alone or you feel you like need guidance, you feel crazy in your house, come holla at us. Spiritualaccelerator.com. Also, today I start teaching the Spiritual Biz Accelerator. That is my 4-week online live course where I teach you everything I've done in order to get myself catapulted as far as being my own entrepreneur, self-employed, and all that good stuff. So if you're a healer, teacher, crystal person, candle maker, whatever spiritual metaphysical practice that you have, as long as you have a true gift and calling, I would teach you the business aspect of it. Spiritualbizaccelerator.com. The class starts this evening, so you want to join that ASAP if that resonates with you. Also, the 5th Soul Glow retreat is going down. I'm doing 2 retreats this year. The first one is in March. It's sold out. The second one is September. So if you've been wanting to come to a Soul Glow spiritual retreat, now is your time. Go to soulglowretreat.com. All right, let me see if I have any questions that pertain to the topic at hand. Hey, you're welcome, Amanda. Appreciate you for trusting me and copping a book. Okay, yeah. What's up, Brooklyn? Peace to the God. We'll see you tomorrow during the Q&A. Hey, yo, this is a good one. Made by Chakar. Sometimes the things we're afraid of are ourselves. You are holding yourself back because you don't believe. So I believe that's a young man dropping them jewels. You feel me? Very welcome, Tampa Barbecue Queen. Yup, ego is the enemy, Caesar. Thank you for that. No problem, Heather. Appreciate that. Yeah, yo, that's the whole thing about mastery. When you're like master, like a lot of people got this all twisted, yo. They think mastery means that you're the greatest thing ever and that you're excellent at everything. If you look up the definition, mastery just means you are in control of whatever it is. So spiritual mastery just means that you're in control of your spirituality. Even if you have a spiritual teacher or a spiritual master, you can still be your own master. It just means that you take full responsibility and accountability for your spirituality. If it's emotional mastery, you take full accountability and you're in control of your emotions. So that's all self-mastery is. So somebody's saying they resonate heavily with doing whatever they want and not letting things such as retrograde stop them. That means they're sovereign. Sovereign means free. You feel me? So sovereign and mastery, those are words that resonate deeply with me. I'm a person that does not like boxes. I've always been like that. Don't like being put in a box, even a cubicle. I don't like this cramped spaces or whatever. So it's important for me to exercise freedom. I tell people all the time, I don't know if this makes sense to them. I'd rather make $10 an hour working for myself than $30 an hour working for someone else. I'd rather make $50,000 a year working for myself than $500,000 working for someone else. The money doesn't matter. The freedom matters more to me. Right now, you may be at a job that you absolutely hate, and you got dreams of starting your business. But because the money may be more important to you and security may be more important to you than freedom, you stay at that 9 to 5. And I'm not telling you to quit your job. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, depending on how you are and who you are, you allow things to make you do stuff you don't want to do. So if security is more important than freedom, guess what? You will stay at your job where you're guaranteed that weekly or bi-weekly check. Knowing thyself is mad important, yo. That's why you think all the ancestors put it in everything, even though they are credited with Greek or Greece or Romans and stuff like that, saying know thyself. We know that know thyself was inscripted on the walls of Kemet in ancient Kemet and Mesopotamia, and a lot of indigenous melanated cultures. No disrespect to Greeks and Romans, but y'all didn't invent that or whatever. Y'all just adopted something that was already going down. Same with deities and pantheons or whatever. So know thyself is universal. Every culture has expressed it. So those don't think it was just Romans and Greeks that said it, or even ancient Kemites. It was a worldwide thing. Know thyself. Know yourself and you know the gods. You feel me? Bam, Gloria. Appreciate that. Everything that you want is on the other side of the ish you don't want to do. That's real, yo. Real. But y'all ain't ready. Y'all ain't ready. A lot of y'all, I'm just gonna keep it a buck. A lot of y'all, most of the people on here, you would never want to change because you stay in default mode. You just continuously do the same thing over and over a day. Shout out to the groundhog. You do the same thing over and over each day, but you're expecting a different result. You wake up, you scroll social media, you watch a few YouTube videos, you go to work, you cook, you clean, you take care of your children, rinse and repeat every day. Before you know it, you're my age or older, and you're like, damn, what did I accomplish? Go talk to anyone who is 90 years old or 80 years old and ask them what's important to them. Just ask them. Go talk to someone who is 90, 80, or even 70, or even maybe 60 years old. Ask them what is important to you. Ask them. You know, I'm not going to tell you. Go ask them. And if you don't get inspired to do something differently, you don't have a pulse. And you don't have a chance in this reality. I think it's important for me to be very clear with y'all, because you have a lot of people saying you're good enough, which you are, that you have a third eye, which you do, that you have melanin, which you may have, that you have all these things and it makes you special. I'm here to tell you everyone is special, and that makes you not special. Everyone is special, which makes you not special. Everybody got a talent. But if you sit here and assume that you don't have to do anything, that things are just going to pop off for you, then you're misleaded and you're misguided and you're following the wrong people. I'm here to tell you that you're a masterpiece and a work in progress at the same time. You're good enough to where you are, but you still have work to do. Why do you know you have work to do? You still got a body. So take your body and go out there and be great today. All right. So that's my message. Until next time, peace.